Welcome one and welcome all to a new video. In this video, we'll look at how to get into Stratholme. We'll look at some glitches that you can find in Stratholme. We will also explore the city of Stratholme, and we will find out what is beyond Stratholme and a few really cool things that appear in this bizarre, glitched out area. I hope you guys enjoy. Today I asked the question, have you ever wondered why Stratholme is off limits to the normal player base? And you probably have seen many videos of people glitching out into Stratholme, or maybe not. What lies beyond the invisible wall? You might be wondering, how the heck can you get over there? There's an invisible wall. Well, demon hunters do not follow the actual laws of World of Warcraft. I have tried to get into Stratholme many times over my career as a WoW player, and I mean career loosely. But today, I ended up succeeding. I've tried everything in my power to get through this barrier, and when they announced demon hunters and they're double jumping and all that stuff, I'm like, there's probably some crazy glitches that we can do with those moves. I didn't know how broken they were though. So if you want to do this glitch, you'll need to be on a demon hunter. And I don't know, maybe a warrior's heroic leap can also work with it. But definitely use a demon hunter because they have much more mobility than a warrior. The warrior, you gotta wait that long to do anything. And as a demon hunter, you can only use your what is it called, metamorphosis one time, but you have a ton of other unique moves that allow you to get around the map very easily. You have the move Spell Rush that allow you to move very quickly across the map, and you also have Glide, which is very important for exploring out of bounds areas. Let's get started on getting into Stratholme. So as you approach Stratholme, you'll be pushed farther and farther down with your mount. However, you don't need to go super close to it, as you can use Metamorphosis to gain quite a distance towards Stratholme. So as you can see here, I'm flying up to Stratholme, and you want to get right about here. You want to click your Metamorphosis, and you want to jump onto this tower, and you break right through the invisible barrier. And now, we're in Stratholme. We just broke out of bounds in World of Warcraft. This is what it looks like from above. Pretty neat. I mean, it looks pretty similar to how I would imagine it to look. Let's see what we can find in Stratholme. The first time I found this glitch, I honestly didn't record me getting into it because I did not expect to get into Stratholme. But I did, and I had a little bit of an issue. Whenever I flew in, I got trapped and couldn't move any farther than where I landed. So you do kind of have to be careful where you jump in this area. There are some lands that are not solid ground, and when I tried to land onto a building, the tops of the building are not solid, and so I ended up falling and glitching the frick out, which as you can see here. But in my second attempt, I was a little bit smarter and decided not to go for the glitchy areas. So what I did is I jumped off the tower and I glided all the way down so I didn't take too much fall damage. And I kind of landed in the middle of the street because I figured the streets would be pretty solid, and they are. But as you can see here, you do go straight through buildings. And I did land inside of a building, but the building I was in thankfully did not trap me inside of it, and I was able to get onto the streets of Stratholme. It definitely looks very different from inside the instance, because whenever you're inside the instance, everything's all red and burning and everything like that. But whenever you're in here without it, the sky is clear, and the buildings are on fire, but they're not causing a bunch of red smoke. So the first thing I do is walk towards the living side of Stratholme. And honestly, the living side is slightly disappointing. You can see here there's a little bit of a glitch where you can see the ground move there, which is pretty common in areas that are like this, where they're not textured properly. I definitely wasn't expecting there to be so much solid ground in this area. But whenever you try to go to the living side, unfortunately, you're met with a solid wall that you cannot get through. Now, if anyone has gotten through this wall, please let me know, because I would love to know what's on the other side. You'll notice I use spectral sight here quite a bit because I'm looking for like hidden NPCs somewhere. I did not find a single hidden NPC, but I do decide to try and look for one. And as you can see, the camera kind of glitches out in this area, and you could see through the land pretty darn well. The next thing I do is I mount up, and you obviously can't fly here, but I mount up and get dismounted in this little area, and I just kind of explore a little bit of the city. You can't get past that gate there, but there are gates that you can get past, and you'll see that in just a second. I just kind of looked around everywhere because I had never experienced this. One interesting thing you'll notice is that I keep jumping in between Quel'The the Lost and Eastern Plaguelands. This should be Ghostlands, but Ghostlands is actually not in this area, which is very interesting. That's why you have to instance into Ghostlands from the Eastern Plaguelands. So, you might recognize this area as is it the eastern, western? I think it's the eastern entrance to Stratholme. You'll notice here that this is the church that has all the NPCs in it. There aren't any NPCs in this, but you can still sit at this Doodad General Church Pew 01, which is a very interesting name. And we can listen to a sermon by the ghost of whatever the dude's name is. Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a neat little church. It's fully textured and fully interactive. Next, we're going to go through these gates, which you would have to normally go through in the regular instance. All the gates do work, which I was surprised about. And by all the gates, I mean all the gates. Except for the gates that have never worked. Those don't work. But all these gates going into the city and maybe past the city all do work. So the first thing I do is I want to check out these necropolises to see if there's any secrets or hidden things in them. But I was kind of disappointed as none of the necropolises had anything in them. The next thing I do is I go to the area that's normally blocked off with a giant wall until you break the Ashari crystals, and the wall is not there. And so this is technically where you'd fight the abominations. You can see the land pretty clearly, and it actually looks pretty cool. But whenever you go to where Baron Rivendare is supposed to be, you guessed it, another invisible wall. Now, a lot of these invisible walls you can't actually glitch through, or at least not as far as I'm aware, because the metamorphosis, it's definitely interesting that they did put a giant wall in front of it. After I searched that area, I decided to go to this portcullis in the back over here. And this is a portcullis that's normally completely locked and you cannot get into it, but since we're in the glitched area, you can. What's back here? An instance? What? That's bizarre. What could this go to? Oh wait, it goes to nothing. Because it's not actually an instance. It was supposed to be, but it never got implemented into the game. So now we're in this really cool area with an untextured Naxxramas. Very, very interesting. This was originally where Naxxramas would have been. I don't know if they ever used this area for, getting into Naxxramas, but the untextured model is still in here for whatever reason. I think that's pretty darn cool. And it's one thing that I've been trying to get to for a very long time. I knew that this was in here because someone else found a different glitch to get into the Stratholme area a while back. I don't know if that method he used still works, but he basically used instance breaking. I just used a demon hunter. I didn't really have to use any other type of glitching. But anyway, let's explore the area down here. It's quite interesting. There are a few unoccupied buildings, and this completely untextured building, which is very interesting. Like, the outside is textured, but the inside is not. I don't know, I found that kind of interesting, but not important. There are a few buildings, and there's also these, like, I guess they would be fell waterfalls, and for whatever reason the camera glitches into them, but there's nothing really that cool about it. This little thing, whatever you'd call this, I think used to bring you up to Naxxramas, or at least it was going to be used to get you up to Naxxramas. I don't know if it was ever used in the end of the game, but in the end of Vanilla WoW. But it is pretty neat that the model is still here. I did find that very interesting. So you might be thinking, is there anything else crazy? Is there anything hidden back here? Did the developers put the secret back here? I don't think so. Again, I'm using my glare or whatever, fell eyes or whatever you call it, and I didn't see any NPCs. I didn't see anything of real concern back here. You'll notice I try to find ways to get into places, and I accidentally waste my metamorphosis here, which sucks. But I definitely tried my way to get around the area. As you can see, you can glitch through these buildings like the other buildings, and then I walk through it completely, and I'm, oh, okay, well, if I can walk through this building, I wonder if I can walk through these buildings, and lo and behold, you can, and you can escape the map. So I thought that was really darn cool. But you might be wondering, what's beyond Stratholme? Well, I'm going to show you that. You can mount in this area, again, like you could mount in the other area, but you can't fly, of course. So I decided to explore this little area. It's pretty massive, and there's no way I explored all of it, because I only played this for like an hour. But I did walk down here, and I saw this little dock, and I'm like, that's different. And so I thought maybe, just maybe, there's some kind of secret down there. And I did decide to look around a little bit just in case I couldn't get back up. I didn't know you could fly down there at this point, but I looked around for a little bit and I didn't really see anything super interesting other than that little dock. So I decided to go ahead and jump down there. And as you can see, I'm extra careful because, you know, I don't want to die. That would really suck to die in this area. And as I'm flying down, you can definitely see how cool it looks down here. There's this little tower, some other night elf ruins, and I get on my mount, and yes, you can fly. And so I fly to the top of the tower, and there's nothing up here, but it's definitely really, really cool that they textured this in. I wonder what made them do this. I heard people used to like hang out here and stuff with the instance breaking. I looked in the sea, didn't see anything. I don't have underwater breathing or underwater potions. I probably should have brought them since, you know, I'm going to be exploring. But, you know, I didn't expect there to be a whole ocean to explore out here. And so I just decided to fly back up here and start continuing on my journey after exploring the island a little bit. To get back up, I did have to use Metamorphosis to break through the invisible wall again. I'm sure that there's a way to get up here without breaking the invisible wall, but, you know, since I'm a freaking demon hunter, I just decided to glitch through the world anyway. So now that we're back up here, I explored the heck out of this place, and to see what I explored, you will have to stay tuned until the next episode. Sorry about that, guys, but this episode's probably already about 15 minutes long, maybe a little bit less than that, and I would just prefer to show the rest of it in another video. It's probably not going to be as long as this one, as you can clearly tell there is a lot of open space, and I will just be fast forwarding through all of that. Remember, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe and like the actual video itself, and maybe make a comment or two about what other glitched areas I should try to get into. I appreciate all the views that I will get on this video and all the comments, and I will see you back in part 2 of this episode.